Notice: the following file has been received as emergency priority by the final department. A sequence breaker has been deployed to aid survivors. This information is to be classified level 5 until SCP-6430 is successfully fettered to prevent spread of its effects.
Item number: SCP-6430 Spiral. Object Class: Keter. Special Containment Procedures. Containment Compromise. SCP-6430 cannot be contained through any conventional means. If encountering an individual under the primary effect of SCP-6430, one must flee. One should not engage in any form of communication with those affected, as doing so is liable to spread SCP-6430 further. Due to its effects, containment of SCP-6430 is to be orchestrated by personnel of the final department. This is to include any revisions to documentation for legibility purposes, as well as personnel handling termination. Description: the anomaly in question is a self-aware metaphysical construct thought to intersect to some degree with the noosphere, the collective realm of human thought, which constitute both an informational and memetic hazard. Whenever SCP-6430 is written about, discussed, or otherwise referenced meaningfully, the individuals or media mentioning it would become subject to its direct effects. SCP-6430 causes an irreversible state of ever-expanding expressions, articulations, dialogues, dictations, observations, and annotations in the communications of those under its effects. This is Stage 1. It can be readily noted that such communications are modeled precisely according to a Fibonacci sequence, though those under its effects may opt not to speak the slightest utterance, such as a cough has been found to be enough to begin an uncontrollable spat of verbiage that ends only once the amount of words communicated reaches the next number in that individual sequence. During the initial outbreak, which led to its discovery within the Foundation site, it was thought that verbalizing would lead to unconsciousness or death of the affected past 14 or 15 iterations of the sequence owing to dehydration. This was found to not be the case, as it was discovered that stage 2 begins sometimes between iterations 10 and 12. Characterized by the esophagus beginning to internally twist and moisten, the physiological change has been noted as being incredibly painful by those who actively dictated their experience. The change only serves to promote lengthier diatribes, not inhibit them in any way, shape, or form. Further, there is a distinct dimorphism in those using the written word to communicate. The fingers of each hand, if working ambidextrously, or of their dominant hand, if writing using a single hand, will experience a softening of bone-twisting digits. If one attempts to communicate with someone affected by SCP-6430 and at any point use a single word, phrase, or statement, they too will come under its effects. This has allowed SCP-6430 to spread unchecked through the memetic and infohazard research laboratory of our site, including personnel with high cognitive resistance values ratings and 12 specialists from the Department of Miscommunications, the latter of whom were able to deduce SCP-6430's general effects and triggers, leading to a rapid quarantine under blackout protocol. Though 27 researchers have been affected thus far during attempts to discuss and discern the full nature of SCP-6430, the advancement of several personnel sequences upon the 20th iteration has allowed us to observe Stage 3, which is characterized by a steady reduction of coherency. As may be the case with non-anomalous logorrhea, coupled with further physical alteration that serve to elongate the esophagus, tongue, diaphragm, and other internals, alongside the fingers and hand into a spiraling corkscrew shape. It should be noted that, again, this does not tend to inhibit further communication, but instead facilitates it, allowing for servers to continue expressing SCP-6430's effects to the detriment of everything else. They will only continue to further twist and tighten until the entire body has become affected, with full body conversion being accompanied by outbursts of rapid glossolalia. This in turn to refuse the conversion process ever further, with most personnel beyond saving. SCP-6430 is able to affect and spread to targets who attempt to make negative statements designed to circumvent the topic of the entity specifically, as well as methods to discuss it indirectly through use of methods such as implication, illusion, insinuation, and parable, through which it was able to spread to most miscommunication personnel on site. During attempts to terminate the infected, it was noticed that euthanization attempts past stage 2 are ineffective, destroying the brain of an individual. At this point, I've seen it happen myself. Will only cause the body to exposit uncontrollably, rapidly bringing it up to the next stage of the development, winding them up like springs with lolling tongues and grasping fingers. As such, the current model of handling SCP-6430 is to self-isolate and await assistance, leading to creation of this file. I've managed to avoid catching SCP-6430, and so have elected to document the anomaly, troublesome as it is quickly becoming. I am being pushed about as I type to the digital elongation. The longer each finger becomes as they uncontrollably hover above the keyboard, the more I must reorient my body. Alas, I have to rein this tangent in. In the operating theater beneath my position is Patient Zero, researcher Alec Mayer, who has progressed to an unknown point in the sequence, though the last official record placed them in iteration 39. Rendered unrecognizable and illegible, no thicker than twine, they coursed through every which way, bellowing non-stop, writing about and poking their surroundings, looking for an opening or exit perhaps. Where what was some hours ago their tongue, and I imagine still is, albeit reduced to a fine needle point, with which it has skewered the D-class we've sent in to terminate him. It has swept up once or twice in my direction, poking at the ballistic glass. prodding with its point, but although it knows I'm here, I suspect that it understands that I am already afflicted, and so it makes no hostile movements, only pausing to acknowledge me as kin, or perhaps as a lesser. I've only just begun this journey after all, as it would seem there's no much more in store. Again, I apologize for distracting, the flow of words beginning to become hard to command. Addendum took some time to make it through the site in my current state, but I have reached Source Hoop, the security room, and can see that there are many surviving personnel who have either remained silent or are exhibiting enough self-control during their first phase, so hopefully rescue efforts will be fruitful, though unfortunately there are over a dozen personnel who have progressed to a physical frame and behavior reminiscent of patient 0. I would have to classify this as a distinct phase 5. These individuals weave throughout the site, ensnaring others and maiming them in order to elicit an audible response and trigger the victim's next sequence. As victims are forced to progress ever deeper, they begin to entwine with the captors, running along them like a vine, one thin enough where it snakes up to the front end of their captors. Interlocking tongues pairings in the states across the board do not attempt to hunt any further, and then we will continue to lock tongues and babble down each other's throats as they seize and distend, and I shouldn't want it, but they hold each other so tight I cannot imagine what it would be like to have someone who won't let you go while you both grow. It's making me warm just thinking about it. Oh, this is new, the first pairing I noticed. I could not begin to guess at who the assailant once was, but it has captured junior researcher Milano. She tried to skirt by while he was prowling at the cafeteria, but she brushed his ties and caught his attention, having working to bring their talons up to meet their mouths. For a fast 5 minutes or so, though highly malleable, the hallway they're resting in is restrictive. As of when typing, they release one another's tongue, with each inserting theirs into the other tail end, and now they're reorienting into a rough approximation of a lemniscate. Rechecking the audio feed of their sector has revealed to me that they're continuing to communicate as they pass through or perhaps consume each other. It is now impossible to tell one from the other as they writhe, with a muffling of definite speech, impossible to hear them as more than a single voice. I know intrinsically that I would be rejected were I to try and join them. They found what they were searching forever in my belly and my throat, and yours too, but I need imagine. God, I don't want to be odd man out. Everyone around me experiences bliss and infinity. With the loss of the D-class to patient 0, that leaves an odd number of personnel in the lockdown quadrant. So I do have to act before I'm left without a partner for this next stage. Please save us. I don't want this. But I then maybe instruct as well, which would be the next goal to the strategy to regain composure and avoid their fate. But my training can only take me so far, and I fear that there may be no way to reverse what has already been accomplished. As such, I will need to use this clarity to pretend this missive outwards, ever-reaching, never-ending, knocks so now deep need and realization of perfection and continuance if you listen close enough, which tickles in unfamiliar places. So when you start start with them. They're going to be looking for a partner. I'll have one first, one below it. If you want them too close, or maybe you'll find me. In which case, I would just love to let you in on a secret.